A picture-perfect day here in Birmingham, Alabama, and a picture-perfect way to go racing. Welcome, everyone, to Barber Motorsports Park for Race 2 of Toyota GR Cup North America. My name is DJ Clark, joined one last time in the commentary booth by Kyle Heyer as we get ready for another fantastic race. It is a little bit toasty outside, but that won't deter our action from the track. About 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 51% humidity, down from where it was yesterday, much to the thankfulness, I think, of these crews and drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a little cooler than it was yesterday, but the sun is out and bearing down on this circuit. Just by virtue of being earlier in the day, it's a little cooler for these drivers. But you know who's been real hot this weekend and this season? Weston Workman picked up his 4th win of the season yesterday, and he's a long ways ahead of Jackson Bell in the championship, and things are looking really, really good for him to lock this up either today or in Indianapolis.
50 points. That is what he needs to be ahead of Bell. We'll take a look at those championship points right now, and there you can see it, 199 to 137. The make or break point here for Weston Workman is if he is able to close this round out 50 points ahead of Jackson Bell, he will be able to clinch his first championship in an incredible run for a driver who didn't have a win coming into this season. Also good battles to check out. Look at that 3rd place battle. Weisenberg on down and through the rest of the field. Some drivers getting their first points and beginning to dip their toes into the pool of motorsport. Very happy to see all of them there. The Tovos in particular. Very young drivers being able to pick up points is very, very impressive.
Yeah, they've done a nice job here this weekend so far as well. Just 14 or 15 years old for the Tovos and 14 years old for Jensen Safronis, who had a top 10 yesterday and only had his 3rd ever point scoring race. So he's going to continue to claw his way up the order here today. Lucas Weisenberg, though, you mentioned in 3rd place, he's really in defense mode. He spent a lot of the season on offense, won the very first race of the year, but he's got to really look in the rearview mirror now and decide, you know, do I really push hard and forward to try to win races and try to get myself back up to 2nd in the championship, or do I really just have to worry about the cars that are approaching from behind and finding strength late in the year, all the while battling drivers like Jeremy Fletcher who don't care about championship points. They just want to pick up victories, and they're awful close to doing that up there inside the top 5.
He is currently only 60 or so points ahead, as we talked about. 4th place, I believe, if the math is correct, is what, if Weston wins, Jackson has to finish in 4th place. But we've got to talk about some of these other drivers here. Max Schweid, one of his better qualifying performances in 4th place. And Spike Kohlbecker, always a threat to be able to pick up a win. He'll roll off in 5th place. He got his first victory of the season back at Road America. A long time coming for Kohlbecker, who is the only driver to have taken wins in every single one of the 3 seasons that have taken place thus far in Toyota GR Cup North America.
Yeah, and he switched teams this year, and I think it's been a learning experience for him, but he's gathering momentum late in the year. Got his first win of the season at Road America just a couple of weeks ago, and carrying that momentum into a place like Barber helps. But we talked about, you know, a lot yesterday about how the 2.3 mile 17 turn layout here at Barber Motorsports Park is a driver's track, and what we mean by that is it's a lot of fun to hot lap, but boy, you only really get one good passing opportunity down into turn 5, and you have to capitalize on it. But how many drivers yesterday, DJ, ruined their race in turn 2?
Yeah, we had a big coming together in turn 2, and a lot of drivers caught out as a result of that. You've got to have what I like to call controlled aggression when you're driving around this circuit. You've got to know the moments when you go full bore, and you've got to know the moments where you need to back off and let the race come to you. A master of that, Lucas Weisenberg, who we always see doing that. He'll roll off in 8th place. A far cry from his dead last yesterday as a result of a penalty. Weisenberg will be looking for a good result here after what was a non-points day, courtesy of that bad starting position.
Yeah, he clawed his way back up to, I think, 16th yesterday, but it just wasn't enough to score points. You have to be 10th or better for that. And again, when he's tied now for 3rd place in the championship, anything will help, but he really would like a 25 or an 18 or a 15-point day up in the podium, but it's going to be so challenging. You also have to look at drivers like Max Schweid, who, you know, entered the season with not a whole lot of experience, but he spent a ton of time on the simulator at the Chicane Club getting prepped for this round. He'll roll off in one of his best starting positions ever up on the outside of the 2nd row.
And we also have to keep in mind 2 of the newcomers into the series. That's Fletcher and DeLong. Both of them have proven to be very, very fierce competitors. Jeremy Fletcher will roll off in 3rd for Copeland Motorsports, and Parker DeLong will be 6th for Tech Sport. As we take a live look down on the grid, and you see these 20-odd GR Cup cars ready to roll off. That's Workman to your right, and that is Ethan Goulart to your left. We thought there was going to be a battle yesterday among them, but I got to say, Workman just put this field to shame driving away at the front.
Well, he just didn't have anyone in front of him to hold him up, and there was no one behind him that was close enough to him to keep him in sight. He just drove away to a several-second advantage, and it was starting to come down a little bit towards the end of the race, but I said this morning, qualifying on the PA, DJ, that I think if Weston Workman gets pole, you'll be hard-pressed to beat him, and he's starting on the inside of the front row. I think Weston Workman's easily the car to beat. Ethan Goulart, though, was really aggressive at the end of the race. Watch him on the start. If he can keep overlap into turn 2, we might have a different game on our hands.
We might have a different game on our hands. We're going to be keeping an eye on where Jackson Bell finishes, as we said, about 4th or 5th. We're going to do the exact math to make sure. I think it's 4th place. And if he finishes below that and Weston is able to pick up another win, Weston will be crowned champion of Season 3 of Toyota GR Cup North America.
Yeah, and again, just a late season surge. But all season consistency, right?
Yep.
The only driver to win or to get points in every single event this year, every single race of the year. No one else has done that, and that's why he's leading this championship. Plenty of others have won races. It's been the most competitive season statistically, but let's have a look at the starting grid here.
We've talked about it before. We'll say it again. Weston Workman for BSI will roll off in the first position, followed by Ethan Goulart for Tech Sport to his outside. Goulart's been a real revelation this season. Jeremy Fletcher for Copeland Motorsports will line up in 3rd with the Tech Sport teammate of Max Schweid flanking him in P4. Moving back into 5th, it's Spike Kolbecker for RBA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate, and then another Tech Sport driver in the form of Parker DeLong. He'll be 6th place. 7th place is the always fun to watch Will Robusto, and Lucas Weisenberg will be to his outside in P8. Weisenberg could be a threat around here as this race goes along. It's another Robusto. This one, Isabella, will roll off 9th. And the first of the Tobo brothers, Jackson, will roll off 10th.
In 11th place, it's 14-year-old Jensen Safronis for Copeland Motorsports in the 41 points earned yesterday. He starts just outside points earning spots. Ford Koch starts 12th, his teammate. Then behind, the runner-up in the championship as it stands, Jackson Bell needs to move up to keep his championship hopes alive. Ethan Tovo starts in 14th. Then Beltre Curtis and Massimo Sinceri roll off alongside each other in row 8. And it's Max Stallone for PT Autosport in the 17th place alongside Carl Foreman in Precision Racing LA. Patrick Brunson, Peyton Fayen, and Liam Harrison and Rutledge Wood wrap up the starting lineup here, the 22-car grid for Toyota GR Cup North America.
All right, 22 cars ready to go. Rutledge having a good day yesterday, and yes, that is the Rutledge Wood. As we make our way around for the second pace lap, do want to take a quick peek behind the scenes. Kyle, this is going to be your last broadcast with us for a while. It's been a pleasure to share the booth with you.
Yeah, real bittersweet after 3 seasons here with the Toyota GR Cup Series and 6 seasons with the SRO. I've got other stuff to handle and take care of with another role at my other job, and I'm very, very, it's been such a pleasure to be here for all this time, and this championship has been one of my proudest to work alongside you on, DJ, so big thanks to everyone watching and all the drivers and competitors for being so awesome over the years, and I wish I could be at Indy, but couldn't quite make it work, so I'll be rooting everybody on from another racetrack around the country, but it's been a pleasure. Big thanks to Toyota as well, Mike and Trevor and the entire team of staff, Lindsay over there as well, that make this championship possible. And again, thanks to the SRO for allowing me to be on this ride, DJ, and of course, pleasure to be alongside you these last handful of years.
Wouldn't have rather had anybody else in the booth alongside me. Kyle, you will be missed, and I say that on behalf of all of us here at SRO Motorsports Group America. But before we let you roam free, we've got one more race to do, and it is going to be a good one. Predictions for what's going to be happening here.
Weston Workman's going to be tough to beat, but Fletcher, Goulart, they had a great scrap yesterday. I think they're going to go back at it. They might be the fun battle to watch for most of this 45-minute race. Max Schweid, though, a little bit of a wild card up there inside the top 5, still hunting for more podiums on the season. And again, he's got some teammates up here in the mix. Tech Sport Racing has 3 cars in the top 6 at the moment. So I think that's really the battle to watch, is those team cars trying to coordinate their move to the front.
Agree with you on that. I'm going to throw another one in there, and that is watch out for row 4. Will Robusto and Lucas Weisenberg, 2 of the most exciting and dynamic drivers we see in this field. I'm very excited to see what that row is going to be able to do. Weston Workman and Ethan Goulart come through the final couple of corners here at the carousel at Barber Motorsports Park as the Toyota GR86 safety car peels its way off into pit lane. Workman gets control of the field down through the final corner. Contact there between Goulart and Workman before they've even gone. Little shake and shimmy there from the number 13, but looks like everything is in order. They're going to slow down here a little bit as they get ready to enter into the acceleration zone. Eyes go to Tom Hansing as the green flag flies, and we are racing at Barber Motorsports Park, and it's deja vu all over again as Weston Workman gets a great jump on Goulart. Fletcher takes a look to the inside of Goulart. There's a little bit of contact, a little bit of squirreliness. Dirt kicked up to the inside, but it looks like thus far a cleaner getaway than we had yesterday.
Yeah, you're right about that. We're now double wide through the Alabama roller coaster, but Ethan Goulart slips ahead of Jeremy Fletcher. I thought that fight would be the one to watch. It continues to be. The Robusto is working to the inside of Lucas Weisenberg's number 46 Seger machine, and now on the attack into the first passing zone of the racetrack, turn 5, first lap.
Schweid, Kohlbecker go side by side. That's for the 4th position, and then it's going to be Noah Zark 2 by 2 all the way through the rest of the field practically, as that is Robusto alongside DeLong. They're trying to sort themselves out. Schweid gives a little bit of a fade there to Kohlbecker coming down into turn 7, comes back onto the main racing line. They're still going to be side by side. Kohlbecker able to gain that position away from the Chicane Club sponsored driver. Ford Koch getting a little bit slideways coming down through Museum Complex.
Yeah, Koch now has overlap. I think that's the 41 of Jensen Safronis, and they're going to go door to door through the chicane at turns 9 and 10. It's tough math. Koch hammers the curb on the left and goes to the grass at the exit of turn 10.
He's going to carry a little bit more speed, and here comes Jackson Bell on the attack on Jensen Safronis. He's going to get the benefit of the draft, but he may be hemmed in there, makes it play, gets the position by Safronis, but has to give up a little bit more. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Fletcher putting more pressure in the back of Ethan Goulart.
Yeah, and he's going to dive up the inside at turn 15, open the door, and Goulart left him space. Only inches between those two, but Goulart hangs on to second. Fletcher crosses over.
Good, respectful racing there from Goulart and from Fletcher, giving each other just enough racing room. Could barely fit a credit card in between the two. Fletcher to the inside, Goulart to the outside. Fletcher later on the binders, and he'll have P2 away from the young man from Tech Sport.
Hopefully you won't need a credit card after those two are done with each other at the end of the day. They've been pretty hands-on so far this weekend, but fair racing for the moment. And Max Stallone back there, I saw peeking and trying to move his PT Autosport car up the field as well. One of the drivers that has never been here before, alongside the likes of Max Schweid and honestly a handful of others that are making their first ever starts at Barber Motorsports Park.
However good this battle has been for P2, it has allowed for Weston Workman to escape up into the distance to the tune of about 1.472 seconds, and that is not what the rest of this field wants to see. Single file now is very different than it was on that opening lap.
Yeah, and again, Weston Workman just driving away, 1.4 seconds. You can't leave him clear racetrack and expect him not to just run with it. And the battle's for second now as they head onto the back straightaway now for the second time.
Strung out in order here. It's a long train, really stretching all the way back to, I would say there, Lucas Weisenberg in about 8th place, and not too big of a gap between Weisenberg and Isabella Robusto. This is that battle for P2. A little bit of dirt kicked up in front. I think that was from Workman. Fletcher gets a great run through the chicane. He's going to get himself a little bit of a gap over Goulart, but as they crest the hill, Goulart starts to fight back. Here's the battle for P4. That's Kohlbecker and Schweid coming down into the final couple of corners here. They'll stay single file, but the pressure is just building here in this battle.
And Max Schweid starting to apply pressure back to Spike Kohlbecker. Got caught a little off guard on the opening lap into Museum Corner in that number 98, the white and light blue car, trailing the yellow machine into turn 1, but he's bringing the pressure back and has Robusto behind him, and we've seen Robusto be incredibly aggressive. That's a tough car to have in your rear view without distraction, and Schweid gives the boot to Kohlbecker through turn 2.
A little bit of a chrome horn there, potentially for Schweid, but doesn't make a play on it. Now that's going to put him back into the clutch as the driver you were talking about, Will Robusto. This is the area where you are going to get a little bit of a draft. Big move to the inside defensively for that Tech Sport driver of Schweid. Tries to turn it into offense, and there goes Robusto down to the inside on a beautiful crossover for the number 2.
They're going to probably rub mirrors here on corner exit. It'll be a drag race up the back straightaway. Big flame shot out the tailpipes of the 98 car, and cars that shoot fire are better than cars that don't shoot fire. That is absolutely true.
That's
now,
just a fact.
This is going to be elbow to elbow here into turn 7, but Robusto had to give it up.
Robusto had to give it up. Almost a little bit of contact front to rear there between himself and Schweid as they come out of 7, now out of 8. Down into the left-right that constitutes this first chicane on the track. Weisenberg trying to find a line here on DeLong. Robusto looking like he lost a little bit of ground to Schweid.
Yeah, so that little battle to pull them out of the rear view of the 55 of Kohlbecker for now. And at the back of the shot, also the 47 of Parker DeLong and Lucas Weisenberg are quickly approaching as well. And Weisenberg's had a bit of a tough weekend so far. You documented the penalty he had yesterday for contact that put him down the order. And just at the tail half of the top 10 right now behind newcomer DeLong in the 47.
Yeah, DeLong, one of the drivers that's really been able to impress, kind of making his first appearance back at Road America, goes very wide on the exit of the final corner. Kicks up some dirt, but he'll be okay. Again, you can see that long train of GR86s. Ford Koch looking out to the inside of Isabella Robusto. So now they come up into the Alabama roller coaster, just trying to find any advantage that they can.
And the reason why the 46 has to get a move on here is the car that's ahead of him, Spike Kohlbecker, was just behind him in the championship standings after yesterday's race. So that is a battle for third in the title fight. Here is Robusto, though, on defense, and DeLong on defense as well. There's a couple battles happening on the racetrack as Koch moves by Robusto, and Weisenberg tries to get around the 47.
Yeah, but Robusto sends a counter to him. That's going to be an over-under for Isabella. She's going to have a nose ahead as they fly down the back straightaway. Koch to the inside, though. That's the preferred line, almost banging mirrors. Here they come into the corner, and it looks like Isabella's going to have to give up the ghost.
Yeah, they just touched mirrors, but not enough to fold them in. Go to the parking lot after this and try to fold your mirror in just that much contact, enough just to turn it in and have it pop right back out. That's how gentle of a touch it was, but they are shoulder to shoulder on the backstretch here at Barber Motorsports.
And this is good news for the 11th place car of Jackson Bell, who leads that little three-car train behind them, as Bell wants them to fight to be able to get himself into the points. Again, he needs to try to get up into 4th place. That is where he can potentially keep this championship going until Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It's going to be tough math. He'll need some assistance, I think, from some, as Calvin would call it, RG-bargy up the road. There's a possibility of that, though. So you got to just stay in it until the very end. Don't pull your foot off the throttle. Here's Jackson Tovo. Surprise, surprise on Jensen Safronis. A little side-by-side as they bounce over the curbs on the front straightaway.
It's a gutsy move from Tovo, but he made it work. Minimal contact between himself and young Jensen Safronis. Tovo to the inside, down into the corner. Safronis forced to give it up as Tovo just kind of muscles his way on by.
Yeah, you saw Safronis try to turn in and saw the 31 car there and had to open the wheel for a moment. And he's going to try to get back to the inside. Little touch there, and there goes Jackson Tovo off the road at the exit of turn 2.
He's going to have his blood up as a result of that. I don't think he'll take too lightly to it. His brother, meanwhile, is down into pit lane. We'll see if we can figure out exactly what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Ethan's down there. But we'll have a look at this just a moment ago between Jackson Tovo and Jensen Safronis. These two drivers hang out a lot off the racetrack, but I'm sure there'll be a conversation about that maneuver leaving the Alabama roller coaster.
No, I'm not sure if Jackson maybe got a little bit sideways there and arrested his speed in a way that Jensen wasn't ready for, but I can tell you that incident involving the 41 and the 31 is now under review from race control.
We'll see how it goes, but as Peter Cunningham says, he hit him from in front. That's not typically how it'll go, but we'll see. We'll see those two again. I'm sure they'll shake hands about it after the race, but Spike Kohlbecker chasing Goulart, and this is a significant battle for third in the title as well. I documented how the 55 was quickly approaching third in the championship, but he also has to beat Ethan Goulart, who is currently tied for third in the title fight. Here comes Robusto up the inside, surprise attack on the 98.
We talked about those sneaky moves down through the final couple of corners. Robusto not going to be able to make it work, but he is going to be able to get a very good run out of the final corner. Almost giving a little bit of a bump draft there to the tech sport driver of Max Schweid. That is allowed. You are just not allowed to lock bumpers. You are allowed to give a little bit of a shove into the car in front, however.
Yeah, I don't know how much of an advantage it would be here. It's probably a distraction, but Schweid faded over to defend, but he left the door open here through turn 2, and Robusto tries to fill the door of Max Schweid as they leave the Alabama roller coaster again, but he'll have to try it at turn 5 this time.
Schweid just able to carry more good momentum around the outside. Kohlbecker takes a look to the inside of Goulart. Let's see if Robusto is going to try to go for anything here. Looking for the crossover. A little bit more of a shove there coming down through Charlotte's Web. And now that is going to be Lucas Weisenberg in the back of that pack, who's maybe going to be able to have a little bit of a run.
Yeah, Isabella Robusto there in the background with Jackson Bell, and this train heads down into Museum Corner. You know, it's funny watching Robusto leave right behind Max Schweid as they accelerated out of 6. I've seen moments where the exhaust out of the lead car goes right into the intake of the trailing car and can cause a stutter leaving the turn. If you've got your front bumper packed up against the rear bumper of the car ahead, that's how tight things are in Toyota GR Cup. And incident responsibility penalty drive-through for car 41.
I hate that for Jensen, but I think that's the right call from race control. As you said, hitting him from in front is the way our friend and our steward, Peter Cunningham, would probably describe that. So Safronis will have to serve a drive-through penalty. Also looks like Patrick Brunson is down into pit lane. Ethan Tovo is in and out. Checking back in on the battle for third place, Goulart, Kohlbecker, Schweid, and Robusto.
And while these drivers fight for third, I'm just watching the scoring pylon, because last time around, Weston Workman was about 1/10 of a second slower than Jeremy Fletcher, and the same was true that time. So we'll just continue to watch as Kohlbecker really applies pressure to the back of Goulart, almost a touch into the first turn. And Kohlbecker sideways, and he is really applying force to the back of the Octopod, number 72.
There we take a look at our fastest laps, powered by our AWS with our race vision. Workman holding on to it with a 37.3, Fletcher a 37.4, Robusto, Kohlbecker, Schweid, pretty much everybody in this battle. And there's a defense from Schweid as he tries to hold off and charging Will Robusto. Not going to be able to make it play. Robusto really trying to move his way into that top 5.
Headlights flashing on the 2 car. Just trying to distract Max Schweid the best that he can. It's a tool in your toolkit, you might as well use it. They give you the button to turn on the lights. If you can make that lead driver glance up in the mirror and distract them for just a moment, that can help. Schweid using all the racetrack, leaving Museum Corner, and then filtering through, threading the needle between these curbs on the back straightaway.
You see those positions gained on the left-hand side of your screen. Credit to Max Stallone and that PT Autosport driver. He is gained 4, your biggest mover thus far. That's a good result for him. He would have liked to have started a little bit farther up in the order, but continues to show a lot of promise here, does Max Stallone.
There's dust kicked up from Jeremy Fletcher, who just ran the fastest sector 2 of the race. So that 22 car trying to run down Weston Workman as the battle for third is as fierce as ever. But Goulart, I think, maybe the most volatile part of this as Kohlbecker continues to hound him in that yellow car.
He's going to take a little bit of a fade to the inside. Big fade from Max Schweid in the back. Robusto not going to be able to get anything done. Kohlbecker gets a little bit sideways into the braking zone for turn 1. Now as they crest over the hill and begin to plummet down into turn 3, let's see if anybody's got a run. Now this advantage may favor back to Parker DeLong, or it may favor back to Lucas Weisenberg in the back. We keep our eyes on this battle right now. Let's see if Goulart is able to hold off an attack here from Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker pokes his nose to the inside, thinks better of it. Everybody choosing discretion is the better part of valor.
Yeah, it's really important also that you don't make a mistake as the lead driver in this group, because if you do, there are drivers right behind that will pounce. This is a momentum-based racetrack, and one mistake will carry through an entire sector. And Lucas Weisenberg, the caboose in this train, all of a sudden wants to be shuffled to the front of this cut of cars.
Tries to get in front there of Parker DeLong, but it doesn't quite work for Weisenberg. DeLong thought he may have run a little bit wide on the exit of that corner, but he was able to keep it underneath him. This battle just seemingly never stopping percolating here. Here's Workman up at the front of the field, and you could tell by that big curb jump, Kyle, he is not letting this car rest on its laurels.
He's really pushing hard. So is Fletcher off course at turn 14. Drops the tires in the dirt, but it's not slowing Fletcher down. He's still quicker than Weston Workman in Sector 1 and Sector 2 that time. So he is making inroads. They are slow, steady inroads, but they are inroads nonetheless. So this isn't over. There's a lot of racing left to go, and have a look here. Circuit performance on the race vision powered by AWS. Fletcher is better than Workman in both the first and second sectors.
Yeah, and that's where he needs to try to make up that ground. Workman, I wonder if he is maybe just with the aggressiveness that we saw overdriving the car ever so slightly, and that's what is allowing for Fletcher. As Fletcher did just set the fastest lap of the race in the last time of asking with a 1:37.3. Not by much. Only about 1/10 of a second faster than Workman, but he's just closing in ever so slightly.
Yeah, and for Weston Workman, I think he's really cool now with 4 wins under his belt. You know, he's still in a position where, you know, the points he earns from second would probably still be good enough with Jackson. Well, Jackson Bell now has a point, so that might make the math a little bit harder, but Workman still in a really great spot. He will fight this to the death, though. 31 minutes to go.
I believe well, Bell is now shown as in 11th. I think he's in a battle farther back in the field. Even if he finishes 10th, I think Weston Workman could finish second and still win, but there is a caveat to that, which is never trust a commentator's math.
Yes, I'd love to wait till I see the numbers at the end of the race. Bell was 10th, and Robusto got by him just in that last sector. It's about 45 thousandths as they came across the start-finish line, so that was a pretty fierce battle. Parker DeLong in that 47 Texport car, the red and white machine, chasing this 4-car battle for third place. Podium, trophies, cash prizes. There's a lot on the line here for the driver that gets up into third.
Robusto gets a great run on the back here of Max Schweid. Schweid defends to the inside, almost turns that into an attack on Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker does the same thing. Everybody trying to hug that inside line down into turns 15 and 16, prevents any attack onto the main straightaway. Keep an eye on Robusto, though. Maybe keep an eye on Kohlbecker as well. Both of them have a pretty decent run. The question is who is going to be gutsy enough to make the move? Kohlbecker makes you think he wants to go for it, but decides to back off, maybe just trying to elicit one of those errors you were talking about.
And watch, the 72's got to keep this car pinned to the inside through the Alabama roller coaster. If you open up that door, widen your line, you're in trouble. And flat right front tire for the 58
That's
car.
the 58 machine of Liam Harrison. Not sure what happened there, but as you said, that is a flat right front. We'll see if we can get an answer on exactly what that was as we check back in the battle. Kohlbecker's got a little bit of an overlap for P3.
On the wrong side of the road to make it happen down into the museum corner, but he's alongside a little bit. He'll have to give it up this time, but he is just continuing to apply pressure and forcing Goulart to compromise his corner entries, and that's what he needs to keep doing. You can't let Goulart just run the line that he wants to run. You have to force him offline to make a pass or make him make a mistake.
Also seeing that Peyton Fayan is down into pit lane, I'm going to put two and two together and think that that may have been contact with Harrison that could have brought both of them together. Again, speculation. We'll get an answer to that in a little bit. There is Peyton working on the right front on her machine. So not sure exactly what happened there. Let's check back in on the battle as Robusto goes for a move down through the right-hander. Keeping that door open like you talked about, Kyle. I think he may be able to pull this off unless Schweid can carry some great momentum through the final corner. But no, Robusto shuts the door.
Yeah, and that put Schweid on defense there on Parker DeLong. And here comes Lucas Weisenberg. He sees the gates open to the inside of the 47. They'll be side by side into one with the Segra car on the attack.
Segra car on the attack, a little bit of a wobble on the brakes. DeLong's going to hold that inside line. This is going to come back to Weisenberg if he can just roll the momentum through the corner, but he's not quite able to do so. Looks for the crossover. Oh, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, that was savvy, but now he's on the wrong side of the road for the left-hander at 5. This is why Barber is so much fun to watch racing, because you're on the right side of the road one corner and the wrong side of the road the next, but he's still alongside the 47. He just needs to hold tough on the outside, and he might have this spot. DeLong's going to take him to the grass. Weisenberg keeps his foot in it and keeps the overlap.
He's going to keep the overlap, and exactly as you were saying, Kyle, this is what he needs to do. This is the point of no return. It's very hard to go too wide down to the museum complex, and there goes Weisenberg later on the brakes, and after about 18 corners, he's finally got the position.
Wow, that was a lot of work, but he got it. DeLong really didn't want to let him by there at the exit of 6, but he had to leave him space per the rules of the series, and Weisenberg got both right side tires up on the exit of the curbs, and now it's just a three-car race for third with Goulart, Kohlbecker, and Robusto, and that 2-car, and the end of that line is very aggressive on the entry in 211 there.
Yeah, Schweid's dropped back just a little bit. Remember, this is where Robusto got the move started on Schweid a lap ago. Ooh, he's going to give a little bit of a hit.
Yeah. And look at Kohlbecker up the inside of Goulart. Surprise attack for third place.
And this is where we're seeing that action. Contact there between Goulart and Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker kind of backs off a little bit, gives him a wide run, but here comes Robusto. Are we about to see 3 wide down the main straightaway? Yes, we are. It is going to be a battle of the brave coming down into turn 1. Robusto to your left, Goulart in the middle, Kohlbecker to the outside, and it is going to be Robusto that takes it. Kohlbecker tries to go for the crossover. Schweid tries to get involved as well. Kohlbecker to the outside. Robusto scampers off into the distance.
I can't believe they didn't wad it up down there. That is talent if I've ever seen it. 3 wide into Barber at turn 1 and turn 2, and they did it beautifully. Schweid and Kohlbecker continue their fight. And now Lucas Weisenberg is here to pick up the pieces.
All right, there's that battle. The white car and the yellow car down into the braking zone. Kohlbecker early onto the inside. He's going to try to roll that speed. Weisenberg tries to tuck up underneath that RVA Graphics Motorsport Bi-Speed Syndicate machine, and after all of that, they fall into single file order. Kohlbecker, Schweid, and Weisenberg.
So Robusto, 2 for 1 there after all that. Now that we kind of filter out the order, that was wild. But they're brave. They're brave young drivers out there, aren't they? And they're fighting so hard for not only the tail end of this season, but to show their team owners, their sponsors, that they are ready for another year to go to the top step and maybe next year beat this guy, Weston Workman. But look at Jeremy Fletcher, less than a second behind now. Fletcher has been consistently faster every lap for the last 5 or 6 revolutions.
Just under 0.8 of a second, fastest lap going to the Copeland Motorsports number 22 of Jeremy Fletcher, as Fletcher tries to close in on that BSI Racing number 13 of Weston Workman. They come out of the final corner right now. Let's see what the gap is as they cross over the line, and it's going to be 0.68 hundredths of a second. This is getting closer and closer by millimeters and millimeters.
Yeah, Jeremy Fletcher, so experienced in one-make racing. This is this second round here in Toyota GR Cup North America, but he knows how to get the job done in the 1v1 scenario. And especially in these big fields, when everyone's got the same car, it's like going to the Super Bowl and you're playing every other team in the NFL every single weekend. And Fletcher, has Weston Workman separated from the field? The gazelle being hunted by the wolf at the very end of this race. There's no one else near them. He can go for it. Is it supposed to be a bear? What attacks a gazelle?
Lion.
Lion. I'm sure a wolf was taking down a gazelle.
Moving on from that broken metaphor, we check back in on the battle for P4.
It's my last day, DJ. It's fine.
Goulart holding off an attack from Kohlbecker down into turn 5, but I'm going to be keeping my eye here on Schweid, who's right up behind that yellow number 55. He looks particularly aggressive. Now it's Kohlbecker coming back to it, and this is what we love about this style of racing. One little bit of momentum can so easily shift back and forth between about 8 different cars on the circuit, and one little mistake can wildly change the outcome of not only a corner, but a whole lap.
Jeremy Fletcher is firmly in the rearview mirrors of Weston Workman. He thought he was playing the single-player version of this game, but Jeremy Fletcher has joined, and it's PvP now up at front.
Love that from Race Vision, powered by AWS. You can see just tenths taken out lap after lap, but that is what Fletcher has been doing, just absolutely chinking away at the armor of Weston Workman, trying to see if there is any sort of break that he can get. Gap down to 38 hundredths of a second as they fly down through turn 3 and over the crest of turn 4.
Yeah, now Weston Workman is going to have to defend this, but how fiercely would you defend this? You don't need to win the race to lock up the championship, but a 5th win sounds mighty nice, doesn't it?
You tell a driver not to defend, you tell a driver not to go for the win, you might as well tell water not to be wet.
Right, and even in the scenario where he gets muscled out of the way, and even if it were to go horribly wrong, it still doesn't really put him in any real danger, because the 7 car isn't even in the points here still. So at worst, even if he didn't earn any points, the gap would just stay the same going into Indy, where he still has a big advantage. So there's not really a lot for Weston Workman to lose here, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to push.
Again, if Bell stays where he is in 11th place and Workman were to finish down in P2, I believe Workman would still claim the championship. So the question is now for that BSI racing team is, how much information are you giving your driver? How much are you letting them know about that championship combination and permutation? I would be fascinated to talk to him after the race about that.
Just all that he needs to know, which is he's got 1 car behind him. Go beat him.
Yeah.
And the championship, again, winning takes care of the rest.
Fletcher wants that win, though. He took a look down to the inside there of 16. Didn't quite play out, but the gap only a couple of car lengths, 0.3 of a second. Let's see what it is when it crosses the line. I'm going to say about 2.5. It's gone up a little bit, call it 3.5 tenths of a second. Meanwhile, battle back farther in the field. Weisenberg been able to get by DeLong, and now he'll have his eyes set up ahead on Max Schweid.
Yeah, and Lucas up to 7th place. Again, this is a better day for him. DeLong still trying to put pressure on him down to the inside of turn 1. And Lucas is off course just a little bit. DeLong swings to the outside, but should be advantage 46. Watch the crossover here at the exit of the Alabama roller coaster.
Yeah, but Weisenberg holds it off well. Just kind of parks that car at the apex and doesn't give Parker DeLong an opportunity to be able to fly by. Checking back in on the battle for P1. Workman holding off Fletcher by about 2.5 tenths of a second. Fletcher just methodically reeling in your championship points leader and waiting for that opportunity to present itself.
Yeah, if Fletcher's waiting for a mistake, he's unlikely to get that, so he'll have to be on offense for the next 21 minutes. We're still got almost half the race left to go, so Fletcher's got time. He's got Workman right where he wants him, but you don't necessarily want to sit back here too long and wear out your Continental tires trying too much, because you're going to be running a little less efficiently in the wash of that 13 car out front.
You read my mind. I was just about to bring up the fact that running in the dirty air, albeit relatively clean comparatively, we're not talking about a massive aero wake generated by these cars, but you're still going to have a little bit less downforce, so you're going to be slipping and sliding just a little bit more than you normally would, and that will wear out those Continentals ever so slightly more.
Yeah, and again, without a mistake from the front runner, you can't really be consistent because you need to keep trying different things. Going left, going right, trying different lanes on the racetrack, braking later, braking sooner. You got to try things to get by a driver out front because, yes, you're faster than him, but you need to be faster in the right spots to get by a driver like Workman. Robusto's driving away from the battle for fourth now, but Goulart and Kohlbecker resume their battle for position with Schweid right behind.
Yeah, 7.5, make it 9/10 of a second between Robusto and Goulart. Farther back in the field, that's going to be the battle for P2. That's Beltray Curtis and Max Stallone. Stallone, who we talked about a little bit earlier, looks to the inside. Later on the binders, muscles his way on through for PT Autosport with Copeland.
Yeah, Max Stallone didn't really have the result he was hoping for yesterday. Had damage after contact right here at the Alabama roller coaster. His first time here at this racetrack, learned a lot in the simulator getting prepped for this event, but a much more representative day here, although I think he would have liked a bit more out of this race weekend because his raw pace was mighty quick. Jackson Bell contact with Robusto, Isabella Robusto at turn 6.
Very aggressive move there from Jackson Bell. A little uncharacteristic from what we know from Jackson. I think the pressure of this championship may be starting to get to the young Californian.
Well, again, he needs to be in the points to even have a shot at it at the moment. And a shot at a shot, basically. He's really has to be on offense as fiercely as he can be to maintain an opportunity to maybe pick up a championship. And why is it still even possible, DJ? Well, because as we mentioned, if you're outside the top 10, you don't get points. If for whatever reason Workman goes to Indianapolis and gets caught up in the tricky turn 1 there on a race start, you know, that really puts you in a position where you could lose the championship. It's not safe unless it's mathematically clinched for Weston Workman.
It's, as Yogi Berra would say, it's not over till it's over. And it's certainly not over yet for the likes of Ethan Goulart. He finds himself still stuck in this battle for now P4, as Robusto has been able to walk away a little bit from it. Goulart leads Kohlbecker, leads Schweid. Weisenberg really hasn't been able to attach himself to the back of this battle yet. He sits about 9/10 of a second behind. Let's check back in on the battle for the lead, down to about 3/10 of a second. Workman up front still.
Yeah, it's still Fletcher advantageous in sectors 2 and 3. Workman still a little bit better in the first sector as they run at the moment. But Fletcher doing everything he can, using a little more racetrack than Workman. But just wear him out is all you can do. And for Weston, the best thing for him to do is just watch the windshield. Don't bother looking in the rearview mirror because it's hard enough to pass around here that, you know, Fletcher's really going to have to send it and get aggressive. And if Workman just runs his line and runs, you know, at least a little bit defensive into turn 5, I think he'll be okay for a while. But Fletcher is going to be relentless.
Yeah, interesting there in that Sector 1 time when Race Vision powered by AWS that you really saw just how close they are. The Sector 1 times separated by a mere 0.04 of a second. These two drivers are equally matched in talent and in raw speed.
Yeah, but fun to watch them take pretty different lines around this racetrack, finding speed in different places. And two different teams represented here, BSI Racing in the blue and orange car, in trouble for Brunson at turn 1.
It's going to be him spun around. Not sure what happened to him, but we'll see if we can figure that out. Probably just in a situation where he carried a little bit too much speed into the corner. I can also tell you the other incident that we saw between Isabella Robusto and Jackson Bell, that is under review. Kyle, let's go back and take out a replay. Exactly what happened to Patrick Brunson.
Yeah, on his own, it was really early in the corner. We've seen drivers get down there and slip up as the car compresses, but he turned in. It's possible that the right rear tire caught a little grass on corner entry, but car was off balance, and as soon as he tipped it in, it just carried itself around.
Checking back in on the battle for the lead, Workman, Fletcher. Fletcher still trying to find a way on by.
Here he comes up the inside of turn 5. Fletcher with the surprise attack here on Workman. Workman throttles up though. Great defense from the number 13.
And we did just get a note from Race Control ordering Jackson Bell and Isabella Robusto to reorder. So Robusto back up into 10th. Bell's progress stymied. He will have to try again from 11th place.
Yeah, and that was because the pass happened with enough gusto that they didn't want it to stay that way, but it wasn't enough for a drive-through. He's going to do it again in exactly the same way. And again,
no contact this time.
I think there might have been. I'd like to get another look at that if we could.
But look at this. Max Stallone saying, I'd like a piece of that as well. He's going to get a move on Isabella Robusto as they fly down into Museum Complex. Bell now moves his way up into 10th, and Stallone takes 11th.
Yeah, and again, that'll knock Isabella down 2 positions. Now, I think she'll be a little frustrated with that. But again, you know, if just a little bit of contact, that they give you the opportunity to give the position back. If you don't, they'll tell you to give it back. And again, if you do the same thing again, then it's possible to see a drive-through. We'll see if they address that, but that was a little aggressive for my liking here. 15 minutes to go for Workman and Fletcher's got 3/10 of a gap to make up, and 3 feet of extra grass he's used at the exit of turn 17.
Yeah, both drivers really dipping a toe off into the outside grass on the exit of turn 17. Gap is expanded up to about 6/10 of a second. think Fletcher maybe just needs to reel him back in, try this again, work it a little bit more.
Yeah, cool things off. You see the rear end of the car sliding out from underneath him now, losing some grip from those rear Continentals, pushed too hard for too long. So I have to take some time to kind of reevaluate his run up to the tailpipes of Workman. Kohlbecker and Goulart, these two have just been magnetic today.
Jackson Tovo down into pit lane, as is Patrick Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson might have flat spotted some tires on that slide, and not exactly sure what for Jackson Tovo, but it's not been the Tovo's day today, has it?
No, it has not. After it was a pretty good day for them yesterday. Single file, Goulart, Kohlbecker, and Schweid. Looks like there Kohlbecker tries to carry a little bit more momentum around the outside.
Oh, right rear puncture for the 31.
Sounds like we've got a replay up and coming of exactly what that was here for Tovo. Follow him in the back.
It was already let go right there, so it was already gone when he turned in. So great job catching it. That's a fast area. That's the fastest area of the racetrack, about 120 miles an hour in these cars. And to have a right rear let go and turn into a left-hand corner, that could have been disaster. So I commend him for holding on to it.
Yeah, credit there to Jackson for being able to hold on to that. Weston Workman continues to lead right now with just under 15 minutes left to go. Fletcher trying to close in. The gap staying resolute at about 0.6 of a second. Meanwhile, the battle for P4 continues to be fierce as can be as Kohlbecker pokes and prods and prays for a way to try to get by Ethan Goulart. He looks down to the inside of the final corner, gives up the ghost. Knew that was going to be contact.
Yeah, the last corner, it's similar, think to Mosport up in Canada, where it just invites you to dive up the inside in that last turn. And Kohlbecker saw the opportunity, trying to just get the 72 offline, but not enough to take the position just yet.
That does open up a little bit of an opportunity here for Max Schweid, also for Lucas Weisenberg, who's been able to close back in on this battle. Kohlbecker, defensive line. Schweid just kind of follows in his tire tracks. Down through turn 6. They'll keep their way ahead.
Heading down into Museum Corner, running out of laps. An opportunity to reshuffle the deck one more time here in Alabama before we head to Indianapolis next month to finish out the 3rd season of Toyota GR Cup North America. Some of these drivers intending to run future seasons here and continue to build their experience with this car. Others have a bright future in sports car racing ahead of them. And this series has provided them a platform to build their race programs on and race on an equal playing field where all the cars are the same. It comes down to the team setup and the driver to just get after it and show their stuff.
Big wiggle under braking there for Max Schweid. Cost him a little bit of a time. Let's check this battle back there for 7th. That's Weisenberg. DeLong. DeLong not going anywhere. Neither is Spike Kohlbecker onto the back. Here comes DeLong. I like this. I like what DeLong is doing. Is you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, Kyle. Just take as many moves as you can. Try to find a line that works best for you through these last couple of corners. It's one of the things I love about Barber Motorsports Park is there are so many areas. Here we go.
Spike to the inside at turn 1. Late on the brakes. Goulart leaves him space, but he's wide and in the grass. Clobbers over the curbing, and here comes Schweid to the outside.
Schweid's going to try to roll momentum around the outside. I thought for a second he may be able to get a 2-for-1. Goulart's going to hold the inside line. Schweid slots into line as there he kicks up a little bit of dirt, and here comes Lucas Weisenberg to the party.
Yeah, Weisenberg trying to pick the pocket here while these drivers are distracted ahead of him on the outside here at 5 and 6. He managed to do this earlier with the 2-car and just trying to cling to it. Throttles up, can't quite do it.
Can't quite get it to play. That's going to reorder that battle that we've been seeing. Now it's Kohlbecker, Goulart, Schweid, Weisenberg, DeLong. Fort Koch in no man's land behind. He's going to start to maybe close in if these continue to battle the way that they are. 11 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the race.
Leaving corners here and heading up towards the back straightaway with Weston Workman out front and with Jackson Bell in 10th. As things run, Workman has done all that he needs to do in the point scenario. So again, 11 minutes to go. It's definitely not over till it's over, but Workman has the opportunity to head to Indianapolis with no pressure in the championship.
Well, and as I said, if my math is right, I think even if he loses this first place to Fletcher, he will still hold on to that championship advantage and will be able to clinch here today.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It'll be over an 80-point advantage, which is just insurmountable for Jackson Bell, even if he loses a spot or two. So Weston has set himself up for that, but he's not thinking about that right now. He's still got Jeremy Fletcher to defeat. And I'll bet you that's the main focus right now, is keeping that Copeland Motorsports car in trail. Remember also that Copeland Motorsports has won both championships, all that have ever existed in history, with Gresham Wagner last year and Tyler Gonzalez the year before that. So BSI Racing, this would be a huge day for them as well.
Yeah, it would. Take a look at Race Vision powered by AWS, those fastest laps. Fletcher faster by about 0.05 of a second. Kicking up some dust there for Workman coming down to Museum Complex. Not what he wants to have happen. He wants to be as clean and green as possible.
And
Patrick Brunson off again.
Yeah, gravel at turn 2, gets it back rolling. That turn 1 and 2 complex is really fun, but there's so much compression in the suspension there that if something goes wrong, the car just shoots over to the side of the course. Hard to gather it up. 5 car lengths between the 2 leaders. What can Fletcher do now, DJ, to try to break the defense of Workman?
Workman with a little bit of a slide there, coming down through about turn 14. Those are those moments that if you are Jeremy Fletcher, you start licking your lips a little bit. You start saying, okay, there may be a break here. There may be an opportunity, but Workman just in tune with that car to a level that is hard to describe. He's just got everything locked in the way he wants it.
Yeah, and Fletcher looks like he's cooled his stuff down a bit. He was sliding around a lot a couple laps ago, but in position now to maybe try to reel in Workman one more time. I think he'll get one shot at it. If he borks it, I think Weston will just be able to carry away with it. But battle for 6th now. Pretty fierce between Schweid, Weisenberg, and the 47 of DeLong. Top 5 just skittering away with Goulart just up the road.
Yeah, Goulart's got a nice little advantage. I think the main battle we're going to see is going to be Schweid, Weisenberg, and DeLong. As we've seen a couple of times, if you're able to stretch out kind of in the front of this and just get that little bit of breathing room, it's going to help you overall. No passes here down into Charlotte's Web. Everybody keeping it together. And there you can see that distance that Robusto has been able to gain over the likes of Kohlbecker after making that pass early on in the race.
Weisenberg setting up the crosshairs on the tailpipes of the 98 of Schweid. Both young drivers really trying to prove themselves. Weisenberg at the beginning of the year, I think all the way back to Sonoma, talked with him on Thursday before the race weekend, said 14 wins. And he had a lot of confidence, and he started off winning.
Yeah.
But again, it just didn't quite follow up to the expectations, but he's still having a good year. Here comes Fletcher up the inside of Workman, took a swiping for Jeremy Fletcher.
Yeah, didn't quite get that one to play, and I got to say, good heads up there for Jeremy Fletcher. He knows Weston's involved in a championship fight. Jeremy wants this position, but he's not going to be that guy that takes out your championship leader.
I agree, but it's a double-edged sword because he might also know that Weston Workman is well clear of Jackson Bell, and as long as Weston finishes the race up in the podium, it's not going to matter. So that might give Fletcher a little more leeway to go get himself a trophy.
Might.
I agree with you. That would be the nice thing to do.
I think for the record, if Weston finishes 3rd and Jackson remains 10th, he will not have enough to clinch.
Might be right about that.
But we continue to follow here. 7 minutes left to go. Fletcher with a good run here. This is closer than we've seen him. Kyle, I think you were right. I think he just kind of cooled everything down for a couple of laps and is now making his final attacks.
Yeah, just don't want to push your car a little too hard. As soon as you slide the rear, that was a little understeer for the 22, but a wider line carrying a bit more speed on the outside of Museum Corner. Lost some ground there. But if you slide the rear end of the car, pretty easy to overheat the rear tires at this point in the race, 40 minutes in. So for Fletcher, again, like I said, you've got one real good opportunity into 5. You know, we can see it, have a look into 1 or have a look into 17, but I think 5 in that heavy braking zone is Fletcher's best chance.
I think it is too. The only problem is that's where Workman knows he's going to fire that attack, and so Workman's able to better defend if he really focuses his exit out of turn 3, and that becomes the critical point for him. He can try to blunt that momentum as much as possible.
6 minutes to go, still about 4 car lengths between the 2 leaders. And they're free to fight this amongst themselves. It's 15 seconds back to 3rd place. How about that differential? These 2 are in their own zip code here.
And they really are.
And checking the next zip code down the list, Will Robusto and Spike Kohlbecker. Robusto's actually driven 2 seconds clear of the 55. Look at this fade over, teammate on teammate here with Tech Sport Racing.
Schweid tried to go around the outside, now tried to go around the inside. Not going to find any room. That's going to open up a little bit of an opportunity. A little bit of a bump there onto the back of Goulart.
Goulart's been really protective of that inside lane through the Alabama roller coaster. He has not drifted more than 6 inches away from that white line. That's prevented drivers from getting overlap on him into 5, but Schweid opens the door here. Not close enough to lunge on the brakes. That might be as much defense as it is offense.
I was going to say, there's a little bit of offense for Lucas Weisenberg, giving a little bit of a shove to Max Schweid up in front of him. Weisenberg in 7th, Goulart leading this pack in 5th. Spike Kohlbecker in 4th has scampered off into the distance as they come down now into Museum Complex. Oh, and off there for Rutledge Wood coming through the last couple of corners. He's still having a good day, though. He's in 17th, and I believe will be in line to maybe pick up that highest finishing Legends award.
Yeah, and Rutledge is having a good day. And again, you haven't really seen a lot of Rutledge going off track or having any kind of incidents. He's had a nice clean weekend, and the leaders are right behind him. This could spice things up because Fletcher is there. A car length between them, 4.5 minutes to go. Game on.
And this happened again yesterday. This happened yesterday. We saw Rutledge kind of being in the mix of everything and very heads up, got out of the way. Workman already flashing his headlights towards Wood, letting him know, hey, I'm coming, I'm in a battle.
He was a long ways away from the 18, though, and I think that just goes to show you that Workman is really, really stressed out right now with Fletcher all over the rear bumper here. Workman saw that car way off in the distance. Anybody that's even in remotely view for Workman, please, please move out of the way. I've got a race to win and a championship to clinch.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going through his head. As they come out of Charlotte's Web onto Power. That's a good run there for Weston Workman. He's going to buy himself a little bit of time, and Rutledge Wood does exactly what we thought he would, does the gentlemanly thing, gets out of the way and lets our two leaders go on and continue to battle. Side by side, here comes Weisenberg.
Yeah, that's for 6th place, and he'll have it. And actually, the 98's been off track. All the grill is packed full of grass, so he's been off course. Not done yet, though, and he's going to pull over. He's got a problem, maybe.
Oh, he's got damage on the right front of that car.
Yeah, I think there's more to this than we've seen. There might have been a little hip and shoulder there. Yeah, damage to the front of it. So he's definitely been into the back of somebody. A hole punched in the nose. So that's unfortunate for the 98 of Max Schweid. He was having a really strong race. Let's have a look here and see what happened down at turn 1. Was it his teammate? Oh, no.
Oh,
that was,
just
that
caught
was,
it.
That was earlier. That was when they were side by side into 1. That was a couple laps ago.
That was a couple of laps ago, but I guess we just didn't see that moment.
I didn't see the bumper fold in like that.
Yeah, the bumper folded in. Yeah. No, that just happened. We are just hearing. So that was almost a mirror example of what happened.
You know, it was Goulart the last time.
Yes.
So they did it the other way around.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's unfortunate there for Max Schweid. That drops him down to 9th place.
He might have to hit in as well.
He's going to come in. We saw this out of the GT America race as well, that just that much grass in that front grille can really lead to overheating, and you've got to make sure you take care of it.
Yeah, and there could be even more going on under the right front of that car, too, with displacing parts inside that car. So, unfortunate for the 98 of Max Schweid. Strong run that will not end the way that he hoped as he tumbles down the order in pit lane. Ethan Tovo's back on pit road as well in the 113. All the while, Jeremy Fletcher is running out of laps to form his assault on the back of the 13 car.
All right, now crucially, here for Weston Workman, this now puts him in a position where I believe he has to win this race now because Jackson Bell has moved up into 9th place.
Yeah, but the gap would have been over 80 points, right? So the difference between 1st and 2nd is 7. I don't think it would have put him in danger, though, still. So he might still be okay. It's only 1 point difference for Bell, 9th versus 10th. So still think he'll be all right. But Jackson Bell down the hill, trying to keep his championship hopes alive, but just needed a little bit better than a tail end of the top 10 here. Oh, Spike Kohlbecker, trouble in the 55 car, the RVA Graphics Motorsports car, off at turn 10. And I don't know what for, but the hazards are on. And this was a driver that was in contention for a top 5, and that car is dead stick.
Yeah, not sure what happened. There is that little half of a donut on the left-hand side of the car, but I don't think this is what this is from. No. 50 seconds left on the clock. Workman will be on the final lap. Yes, the white flag is in the air. So this is the last lap for Workman. This is the last time for Fletcher. Let's see if he sends a move down into Charlotte's Web. He's going to look to the outside.
Here he comes. He's going to have a look on the inside. Maybe a little contact front to rear. There's a little bit of a push and a shove. Fletcher trying to get by the number 13. And critically also the 55 is off course. And there is a yellow flag over there. So you can't pass on the back straightaway before turn 11.
Workman holding the line. Fletcher not having any opportunity. Coming down through Museum Complex right now.
It's going to have to be in the last two corners, and Weston Workman and BSI Racing, everything they've worked for this season, if Workman can do this, it'll be such an emotional day for the driver of the 13. Winning his first race in the championship after coming up short so many times in 2024. 4 wins as of yesterday. Could it be more than that? It looks like it, DJ. But the championship also can be wrapped up here, and he could be a champion in Toyota GR Cup North America.
Workman through the final 2 corners for the final time. Fletcher tries to go a little bit wider, but gets a little bit loose. Maybe some contact front to rear. Workman covers off the inside contact, and a little bit of a slide there from Workman, but he's going to be able to hold it off into the lead as Weston Workman crosses the line to take victory and to take the 2025 Toyota GR Cup North America Championship.
Wow. And he did such a great defense down there at turn 17. Fletcher gave it everything he had without turning him around. I have to give Fletcher a lot of credit there. But Will Robusto comes home in third. Ethan Goulart in fourth. Lucas Weisenberg fifth. And Jackson Bell just a little too late. Up to 8th place, but it's not going to be enough, DJ, to keep those hopes alive.
No, it's not. It is not going to be enough. Bell did everything he could. Stallone up into 9th place. Great drive again for Max Stallone in that PT Autosport with Copeland Motorsports machine. Looking back at the field, Massimo Sinceri with a nice little bit of a grass mustache on his number 51 machine. He'll come home just behind Jensen Sofronis. That'll be 12th and 13th. Rutledge Wood and Jackson Tovo have already finished. Carl Foreman comes home in 14th. And Max Schweid looks like he will end up in 15th as a result of everything we saw.
So for Weston Workman, last year, runner-up so many times, podium after podium after podium, always coming up just short of his teammate. But this year, podiums early in the season was right there in the mix, came up short at Sonoma by a couple hundredths of a second, went off to Sebring, and then in dominant fashion, not once but twice that weekend, won his first races. He was emotional, tearful. In his sports car racing career, he knew that that win was going to be a turning point, building the confidence to go after the championship. And with such strong battles between himself and Jackson Bell and Lucas Weisenberg, it was not a sure thing. Every weekend we went into a race this year, we had no idea who would come out on top, but it was the consistency and the speed of Workman and BSI Racing. The only driver this year to earn points in every single race, and now he's won 5 of the 12 races that we've completed so far.
We've said it before and we will say it again, the mark of a champion is what you do on your worst day, and if your worst day is a 6th place finish for Weston Workman, that is the mark of a true champion. Drivers make their way into the pit lane and down into their respective garages and into tech. A fantastic day, Kyle. A fantastic way to end a weekend for Toyota GR Cup North America. Weston Workman on the top of the pylon and on the top of the championship order. That will be locked in. Jeremy Fletcher tried so hard, just not able to do it. Goulart with a good run in 4th. Robusto with a particularly good run in 3rd. Weisenberg, good recovery from outside of the top 10 into 5th. DeLong, Koch, Bell, Stallone, and Robusto, your top 10.
I gotta give Stallone a lot of credit. Moved up from the tail of the field. Rosabella Robusto, P10. She's only made a partial schedule appearance here. Beltre Curtis, P11. Jensen Sofronis right there in the mix. Massimo Sinceri, top 15. And Rutledge Wood, I believe his best ever finish in 16th place.
As we go back to check out what's happened today, It was a good start for Weston Workman up in front of the field, did what he needed to do. Thought Jeremy Fletcher and Ethan Goulart were going to be battling for a little bit through the field, but those two quickly came to blows, and Fletcher was able to get his way ahead. Pushing out and around, there was a good battle farther back in the field between Lucas Weisenberg and Parker DeLong. That continued on. Goulart lost some positions as a result of a wide run down into turn 1. That battle then intensified, and we got something we thought we'd never see here at Barber Motorsports Park, which was a 3 wide coming down the main straightaway. Little bit of contact between your two lead battlers there. That was Fletcher and Workman, but they sorted themselves out and kept going. More craziness up at the front of the field between Kohlbecker and Goulart. Those two battling it out, and Goulart taking a big hop, skip, and a jump, and then doing it again a little bit later was Max Schweid, that causing maybe a little bit of damage to the right front of that machine. As he came down into the last couple of corners, Workman held it out, contact, a little bit of slideways, but at the end of the day, it was Workman on the top step and able to claim the championship in 2025. Donuts for everybody. And there he is on top of the car. He knows he did it, and that is one happy, one confident driver.
So much celebration for Weston Workman. This was a season or two in the making, and once he broke through at Sebring, DJ, it was just opening the floodgates of performance, success, and celebration.
Pointing to the ring finger, knows that championship ring is going to be coming on there in short order, and hugs all around, as are well due for this young driver for BSI Racing. It's a fantastic season, and as you said, Kyle, I mean, really kind of remarkable. Only picked up his first win in this sport, in this series at Sebring. It was an incredible run. Workman getting it done when he needed to do. BSI Racing on the front of that car. They had never picked up a win before this year as well. So absolutely remarkable there for them. Let's head down to Weston Workman as Amanda Busick is caught up with our champion.
Weston, you started this race knowing there could be a championship on the backside. In Sebring, you had your breakout weekend, and in 5 of the last 8 races, you have held that top spot. I know you're going to get a lot of credit to those people over there, but what credit of resilience will you give yourself first?
I don't know. I just feel like we had a really consistent season. I mean, you know, I think at every track this year we had a podium, and that's how a champion drives. So enough about me, though. We got to give credit to these guys behind me, my parents, my family, BSI Racing. They gave me a great car. And also an underrated compliment is to my competitors. Jeremy Fletcher drove me very clean. I got to give credit where credit was due. I honestly think he was definitely faster than me at that race, but I just held my own. I knew how the draft and the air in these cars worked. He's pretty new to this series, so I kind of used that to my advantage, and thankfully we got the win today and the championship.
I think you still had your helmet on, but your mama was screaming, "That's my baby, that's my baby." It takes a village, and how strong is yours?
My village is very strong. You can see him behind me. Point the camera to him right here. They're going crazy. Mom, I love you. Thank you so much. This means everything to me, my family, BSI Racing, and I can't thank Toyota Gazoo Racing enough, and Dava, and everybody around me.
Well, now that the fans want to know, what's next for Weston Workman?
I'm not sure yet. Hopefully some good things in the future.
Congratulations to your 2025 champion in the Toyota Gazoo Racing GR Cup North America.
You know, Kyle, something tells me that we have not heard the last of Weston Workman.
No, I mean, again, last year, just the performance, we knew he would be a winner, and I think he knew he was going to be a champion. It just took a little bit of confidence built up from those race wins. And, you know, he said it, a podium at every racetrack this year. That's the mark of a champion, and I think there's great things coming for this young man in his sports car racing future.
I cannot wait to see what comes next for Workman, and indeed what comes next for all of our drivers in this series, because it is such an incredible way to be able to go. Here tell that we had a little bit of fun at the end of the race. Rutledge Wood coming in to give him a big hug. Love
cool.
That for Rut. Love that.
That's really cool. And he did a gentlemanly thing there when he saw that battle coming. He moved over on the side of the road. But look at Weston Workman popularizing donuts there, DJ. Wrap it up, Toyota GR Cup from Barber.
Well, folks, it has been a fantastic season for Weston Workman. It has been a fantastic weekend for us up here in the booth. And on behalf of Kyle Heyer and myself, thank you for joining us. We will see you on down the road.